Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Vijanavalabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamunatiravanachari Jamunatiravanachari Jarada Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamunatiravanachari Jamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai, Krishna Balaram, Lalita Vishaka Jaya Radhe Shyam. Prabhupada, 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 Jai, Jai Prabhupada. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Stautra Satashi Srimad Bhagavatam Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda ki Jai Nitlira Vishtam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Stautra Satashi Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deshatarane Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 72, the slaying of the demon Jarāsandha. So we're doing text from 41 on. Okay, good. Sanchintyari vadhapoyang Bhimas yam moga darshanaha darshayam asa vitapam Pṛthā yan niva sangyaya. Translation by the followers of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda ki. Having determined how to kill the enemy, the Lord of infallible vision made a sign to Bhīma by tearing in half a small branch of a tree. Tad vigyāya mahasattvo Bhīma prahāratam varaha grihitva padayo satrung padayam asa bhutale. Understanding this sign, mighty Bhīma, the best of fighters, seized his opportunity by the feet and threw him to the ground. His opponent seized his opponent by the feet and threw him to the ground. ekam padang padakramya dorbhyam ayang pragriyasaha. Gudata patayamasa shakameva mahagajaha. Bhīma pressed down on one leg with his foot while grabbing Jarāsandha's other leg in his hands. And just as a great elephant might break the branch of a tree, Bhīma tore Jarāsandha apart from the anus upward. Eka padaru vrishana kati prishtasta nang sake eka bhavakshi drukarne shakale dadrishu prajaha. The king's subjects then saw him lying in two separate pieces, each with a single leg, thigh, testicle, hip, shoulder, arm, eye, eyebrow, an ear, and with half a back and chest. Very graphic, huh? Very nice. Give you the full picture. Hahakaro mahanasim niyate magaveshvare pujayam astur bhimang parirabhya jayachatao. With the death of the Lord of Magadha, a great cry of lamentation arose while Arjuna and Krishna congratulated Bhīma by embracing him. Sahadevang tata tanayang Bhagavan bhuta bhavanaha āpyāyayan ameyatma magadānaṁ pating Prabhu mochayaṁ asa rajanyam sangrudha magadenaye. Sahadevang tatanayang Bhagavan bhuta bhavanaha āpyāyayan ameyatma magadhanam pating Prabhu mochayamasa rajanyan sangrudha maganenaye. Sahadevang tattanayam Bhagavan bhuta bhavanaha magadhanam patim Prabhu mochayan asarajanyam sangrudha magadenaye. Sahadevang tatanayam Bhagavan bhuta bhavanaha abhyasinchadameyatma magaranang pating Prabhu mochayang asarajanyam sangrutha magadhin. Mataji's Sadevang Tatanayam Bhagavan Bhuta Bhavanaha Vyasinchadameyatma Magayatam Pating Prabhu Asarajanyam Sangrudha Magadhinaye. Sahadevam, named Sahadev. Tat, his, Jarāsandha's son. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Bhuta, of all living beings. Bhavanaha, the surrender. Abhyasinchat, coronated. Ameya Atma, the immeasurable one. Magadhanam, Magadhas, of the Magadhas. Patim, as the master. Prabhu, the Lord. Mochayamasa, he released. Rajanyan, the kings. Sangrudha, imprisoned. Magadhena, by Jarāsandha. Yea, who? Translation and purport. The immeasurable supreme personality of Godhead, the sustainer and benefactor of all living beings, coronated Jarāsandha's son, Sahadev, as the new ruler of the Magadhas. The Lord then freed all the kings Jarāsandha had imprisoned. Purport. Śrīla Prabhupāda writes, although Jarāsandha was killed, neither Krishna nor the two Pandava brothers made a claim to the throne. Their purpose in killing Jarāsandha was to stop him from creating a disturbance against the proper discharge of world peace. A demon always creates disturbances, whereas a demigod always tries to keep peace in the world. The mission of Lord Kṛṣṇa is to give protection to the righteous persons and to kill the demons who disturb a peaceful situation. Therefore, Lord Kṛṣṇa immediately called for the son of Jarāsandha, whose name was Sahadev, and with due ritualistic ceremonies, he asked him to occupy the seat of his father and reign over the kingdom peacefully. Lord Kṛṣṇa is the master of the whole cosmic creation, and he wants everyone to live peacefully and execute Krishna consciousness. After installing Sahadev on the throne, he released all the kings and princes who had been imprisoned unnecessarily by Jarāsandha. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 10th canto, 72nd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Slaying of the Demon Jarāsandha. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistang Stapitang Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, kripa sindhubhyevacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So this is Krishna's plan. One devotee asked Prabhupada, if Krishna, doesn't want us to come to this material world, why did he let us come here? He said, you force Krishna. I don't know if anybody had a little child, 2, 3 years old, and they're very determined, and you say, no, but they're so insistent that you give an okay, eat the candy, whatever happens. Teeth will fall out, your stomach will rot, but go ahead, eat the candy. So, because Krishna gave us this independence, we have this minute independence, he's not going to take it away once you give something. It's like, and the material world, unlimited planets, unlimited universes, unlimited living entities. And they got every variety of life afforded to them. You can become a great demigod, great controller, big ruler, everyone bowing down, offering beautiful prayers to you. Or you can just be a little creature, a little animal that's fearful of its life. Like even the lion, every day, or at least every few days, they have to go hunting and kill something to maintain. Even though they're the lion, the king of the jungle, but the animals aren't coming and jumping in their mouth. They have to work for it. So everyone has to work in this world to survive, to maintain themselves. But Krishna says, Bhoktarang jagatapasang sarvaloka maheshwarang suhridang sarvbhutanam gyatva-mang shanti mrishtati. That he's the proprietor of all the planets, he's the enjoyer of all sacrifices, he's the friend of every living being. And the guru is a representative of the Supreme Lord, and the king is supposed to be the representative of the Lord. This is why he's honored. They even honor, the kings or presidents, not in all cases, but this is because they're supposed to represent. One should not be a father, one should not be a guru, one should not be a mother or a teacher, unless he can free his dependent from the cycle of birth and death. So the king represents the Supreme Lord and his power. So Krishna, even with the whole orchestration of the battle of Kurukshetra, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata avyutanang adharmasya tadatmanang srajamyaham. Krishna comes scheduled, on time, and in order to again, you let things go for some time, and when things get so unruly and so, chaotic, that Krishna personally comes, also sends his representatives to again reestablish religious principles and to curb the demonic kings or leaders and rulers. So Yudhishthir and the Pandavas, they're not ordinary persons, they're eternal associates of the Lord. And one may believe or not believe Prabhupada's preaching in Hyderabad, in South India, and the political leaders are there, Mr. Raju, and they're all very eager to, they're enthusiastic about Prabhupada. He's presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is, and the absolute truth, the Vedic literatures. But he said, but do you believe? Do you believe Krishna actually is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that he appears in this world and performs various activities? Because even though one may be a scholar, Sanskrit scholar, a great theologian, or a big politician or leader, a scientist, they mainly have these doubts that these are just stories, these are mythology, these are just to opiate of the people to distract them from the reality of the material world. There's some wishful thinking about going to some utopian spiritual kingdom by following religious principles. Even in a modern day, I think many of the leaders in India were thinking this, that people are too religiously minded and performing too many rituals and sentiments and not engaging in technology and in industry. Follow the way of the West. Look at them. They have so many cars and so many skyscrapers, and they're just as miserable as anybody else. They're more miserable, but still, let's try for that. But we've seen that economic development and all the amenities or all the comforts, that are being created with computers and technology and all the brain power of the best scientists to create comforts, people are still not happy. They're miserable. And we can see it if you look at any kind of newspaper or broadcasting the news. People are just killing themselves wholesale. And if they're not successful killing themselves, then the fire will rage, the earthquake will come, the tsunami will devastate them, the flood. It's like constant adhyatmika, adhidaivika, adhibodhika. So the kings, Dhritarashtra was wanting that his sons become the rulers of the kingdom. Why should my brother's sons, the Pandavas, why should they rule the kingdom? It was technically mine. I'm blind, materially and spiritually. Dhritarashtra's talking. And he was warned, even, was it Vidura, and also, who came to take Krishna and Balarama? Akrura. They gave good instructions to Dhritarashtra that you should treat the Pandavas fairly and equally. This is rightfully their kingdom. And if you create disturbance, there'll be very bad end results. So Krishna, even though Arjuna, in the battle of Kurukshetra, he said, Krishna, bring my chariot out in the middle of the army. I want to see who I have to contend with, who I have to fight with. Just like there's so many battles going on here with Yudhishthira and the Pandavas. So at that time, Arjuna was examining the power of the opponents, but then he started thinking very, very sentimentally that, these are my family members, my grandfather Bhīma, my teacher Dronacharya, my cousins, my nephews. I'm not really that interested in the kingdom. Let him have it. I'm going to go to the forest and just be a beggar and live simple life. Why take so much anxiety on myself? But Krishna was smiling, and Arjuna was showing the weaknesses that we have for this world, that we're very much attached. Oh, I have so many responsibilities. I have to take care of, I need a family and my cousins and my responsibilities. I've got to go to this wedding and this birthday and celebrate this and buy so many presents and work hard day and night in order to make everyone happy because I have obligations. What to speak of worshiping the demigods for supplying all the necessities of life, sunlight, moonlight. And if I want anything of any substance, if I pray to the demigods, then I'll receive that. So Krishna smashed that idea that this demigod worship is not necessary because he's the bhoktarang jagatapasa. He's the purpose of all sacrifices are meant for Krishna. And Krishna, he's providing for everyone. So the king is worshipped because he's taking care of the necessities of all the subjects. He's giving them an opportunity to live comfortably in the kingdom. So Krishna makes all these arrangements. And Krishna told Arjuna that I've already killed everybody, and this whole battle is meant to take away the asuric or atheistic kings who think that they are the controllers. This is my kingdom, my property, my wealth. These are my subjects. And he wanted to establish the saintly Dharmaraj, the son of Yamaraj, Yudhishthira Maharaj. And all the Pandavas were actually sons of Indra, demigod, Vayu, Bhīma, and Sahadeva, Nakula. These are all eternal associates. So at this time, when the kings were imprisoned, they sent a messenger, and Krishna could recognize that, yes, all these kings were unrightly imprisoned, the princes and kings, and Uddhava gave a solution that, okay, when you go to, where what's that called? Girivraj, where Jarāsandha lived? Girivraj? It's called like that, if you read it. Girivraj, where Jarāsandha was the kingdom of Magda. And if you go dressed as Brahmanas, he's giving a lot of respect to Brahmanas and following Vedic culture. So we heard a beautiful elaboration yesterday. Maharaj gave us a nice explanation of the whole Leela. And so when Krishna came with all his dynasty, practically all his queens, and Yudhishthira was so excited, and he said, I want to do a Rajasuya sacrifice, because I want to glorify you as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that others can also glorify you and understand your position as the Supreme Lord. Because people are so covered by Maya, even Krishna may be physically present, they still cannot see. And even those who are studying the Vedas, if they have no devotion, they cannot hear, they cannot understand what is the spirit soul. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is first explaining to Arjuna that we're eternal, ever existing, undying, we're primeval. The spirit soul can never be harmed in any way. The material body is temporary, the soul is eternal. And although we think, well, that's easy to understand, but the realization takes practice and training, proper hearing from the pure devotee and association of devotees. Because even though we've been trying to chant Krishna's name and hearing about the philosophy of spiritual life, still after 10, 20, 50 years, we're having difficulties to get off of the bodily platform, the mental platform, and the false ego. We all have a very strong false ego, and this keeps us imprisoned in the material world. So Krishna told Yudhishthira that yes, first you conquer all the kings, or at least establish your sovereignty, that you're the emperor. And so they sent the different Pandavas. Arjuna, I think, went north, and Bhīma went to the west, and Sahadev, Nakula. And they represented Yudhishthira, the emperor, and they had everyone submitted and agreed except for Jarāsandha. They brought so many riches back so they can perform this very expensive yagya, the Rajasuya yagya. And Krishna, he's participant in the whole affair. He goes with Bhīma and Arjuna in a very personable way. And they were going to tell Jarāsandha that, yeah, I'm Krishna, your old enemy, and this is Bhīma and Arjuna from the Pandavas. So Jarāsandha rejected the offer of Krishna and Arjuna for a fight, but he said, Bhīma, okay, he's strong as me, we'll fight with Bhīma. And so the fighting was raging, and we see so many battles. I think Krishna with Jambavan, I think that also lasted 28 days, and just the intense fighting. We see nowadays is very popular that, what do you call the martial arts fighting, isn't it? People, they just like in the Roman days, the gladiators, they want to see a bout between very powerful, I mean, that was the whole thing that Kamsa was arranging, the wrestling match in Mathura, in order to lure Krishna and Balaram so that he can have them smashed by the great, strong Mushtaka and Chanura and all the other fighters. And then also, even just a few thousand years ago, the Roman Empire, the gladiators would be fighting many times to death. You know, this is something that's like the whole stadium is full. And even nowadays, they're watching people, pounding each other, completely bloodied and pulverized themselves. So the description was being of how Bhīma and Jarāsandha, like two huge elephants with tusks crashing together, or a big thunder and lightning. Sometimes it's startling if it's heavy duty lightning, especially if it's dark and it's rainy and little bit creepy, you're a little fearful, you know. So this is a fearful situation, and this battle was taking place at such intensity. But then it just kept going on and on and on, and even though they had such strength and such stamina, they could endure fighting for, sometimes you fight for 5 minutes and you're exhausted, you have to sit down and take a little break. But they were like empowered, totally empowered. And I believe it said that Krishna empowered Bhīma, because he understood that Jarāsandha had a special empowerment, special benediction. And so he gave a hint to Bhīma by taking a twig and breaking it in half, so that Bhīma understood. So he held the one leg, the other leg, and ripped Jarāsandha apart, right down the middle. All the parts are described very graphically and through. But that's just to let us understand that this is Krishna. He wants to destroy the evil elements. And if you see our leaders, even nowadays, it seems those who are pious, they prosper. Things are really prospering, especially in Bharat, and that there's recognition of the authority of the Supreme Lord, and the temples, and the importance of human life. Human life is specifically meant for awakening our God consciousness and establishing a relationship with Krishna. And also going back home, back to the spiritual world. Like even in business transactions, one businessman meets another, they make a relationship, and they understand what their business will be, and that's how it's executed. And even family, husband and wife, they get married, they develop a family, they develop a relationship. So human life is meant to awaken our Krishna consciousness and our forgotten relationship with Krishna. We forgot Krishna, and that's what it means to be in the material world, that I'm forgetful of Krishna. But the prayers of Queen Kunti, Yudhishthira Maharaj, the Pandavas, is that the full absorption in Krishna. In Prabhupada, he's giving us the tools how we can also have our mind absorbed in Krishna from early in the morning. Isn't it early? Very early in the morning. Some devotees are getting up at 1 or 2 o'clock, and why so early? It's very quiet and nobody around, and you can hear and chant the holy name or hear the glorification of Krishna. And so by hearing and living in the association of devotees and having the guidance of a pure devotee, this will free us from that darkness, from the passion and ignorance which is covering our existence. Just like a heavy cloud, sometimes during foggy time in the early morning, there's no sunshine, you don't see the sun. You know the sun is there because there's some light, but you don't really see the brilliance and can appreciate the full magnitude of the sun. But once the cloud and the fog is dissipated and the sky is clear, like in the afternoons, when the sun is bright and brilliant, you feel, refreshing, very, very soothing. So Krishna's giving instruction, manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mang namaskuru mamivasyasi satyate pratijane prayosame. Think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer your prayers to me. Thus you'll come to me without fail. I promise you this, because you're my very dear friend. So the Father naturally loves all his children. He's equal. I know yesterday there was a question about, it said, I'm Krishna, your enemy. But Krishna is not seeing himself as enemy, but Jarāsandha was seeing Krishna as his enemy, because Krishna was trying to reestablish religious principles in killing Kamsa, which was the husband of the daughters of Jarāsandha. And they were very upset, and they came and complained to Jarāsandha, so Jarāsandha became very upset, and he wanted to go and smash Mathura. You killed my Kamsa? So he came with a huge army, again and again and again. So I sometimes get bewildered thinking there are so many kings to kill, so many soldiers. If you count the amount of battles and the millions of people that died. But that's even in World War II, I believe, what was it, 64 million were killed? Hundreds of millions of people. But human life should not be just based on the sentiment of the bodily concept, but by being renounced or detached. Queen Kunti was praying to be detached from her family and her husband's family, but not in a negative way, not that we become calloused or we don't, treat people. Because a devotee, he doesn't want to harm an ant. Isn't it? That story of Mrgari the hunter, he was half killing animals and he took pleasure. And Narada Muni told him, you're going to have to suffer for all that, the karma. And when he actually had a little bit of insight that I'm causing suffering, when Parvat Muni and Narada came to visit Mrgari, who became a disciple of Narada Muni, and he was jumping around, and he said, Narada, why are you jumping around? He goes, oh, so many ants on the path, I was trying to avoid killing them. So from being a killer and completely heartless and had no feelings, to becoming so sensitive as to avoiding killing an ant. If you see pictures of Lord Jesus Christ, he's got little rabbits and innocent little animals, and they're all lovingly following him. You couldn't imagine him pulling out a hatchet and chopping off their heads. So the idea to think that, well, my religion, it's okay to kill the animals or kill the living beings, this is not Krishna's idea of, we're not looking to give up simply religion, but he says, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekang sharanang vraja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayashyami masuchaha. Give up all your concocted ideas of isms that, oh, I am Christian, I am Hindu, I am Muslim, I am Jewish, I am black, I am white, my tradition, my culture, your culture, my motherland, your motherland. Let's fight. All of it's all about the bodily conception of life. And everyone is thinking, this is mine, and that's mine, that's yours. You're in my country, get out. No, your visa is revoked. It's all belonging to Krishna. Everything belongs to God. And the kings are meant to help govern things in such a way and protect the citizens and engage them in their respective duties. The king wants to see that the brahmanas are acting as brahmanas, as teachers, and giving proper guidance, and giving everyone an opportunity to understand the purpose of life, how to awaken love for Krishna. And the Vaishyas, they're also considered a high birth. In the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, they also can take initiation and Brahmin thread. And they're caring for the cows and agriculture and trade and commerce. They're feeding the whole society. And the Shudras, without the legs, you can't get around. So they're also performing the activities which are necessary for a peaceful society to live together, and the king's responsibility. But when the kings start thinking that this kingdom is mine, and all the riches are mine, and everything is meant for my enjoyment, monarchy is finished. No more kings, no more queens. There's a few residual king and queen, but they really have no power. Everything is governed nowadays by so-called democracy or communism. But again, Krishna is making arrangements, as we can see. He sent his associates, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. Again, people did not understand the Bhagavad Gita, the idea of surrendering to Krishna. And they're teaching us how to live Bhagavad Gita. Satitam kirtayanto mang. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all his associates are simply chanting and dancing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And we don't have that so-called ability as you see, like my Sanskrit was not that good, and you try to study philosophy, logic, and there's all these deep philosophical studies which the sannyasis and Benaris were criticizing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers as being sentimentalists and not doing their duty of studying Vedanta. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expressed that in this age of Kali Yuga, people are very, very slow in spiritual advancement. And the best way to remember Krishna is by chanting his holy name. And also mold your life so that you're in the association of devotees. From early in the morning, as we were discussing, Śrīla Prabhupāda not only gave us the understanding of Bhagavad Gita as it is, and with explanations, and with the society and other devotees to support the gradual development of spiritual understanding. You could see that Prabhupada, even after finishing talking or lecturing when all the politicians are gone, and everyone's gone, if there's no one left, he'll call his disciples and preach to them. Prabhupada never tired of glorifying Krishna, So we have to put our whole day like that from early morning, Mangalartik, and chanting and dancing, everyone's chanting their japa together, or reading Bhagavatam, and again, we come to greet the deities and celebrate that Krishna has so kindly appeared in his janma-mṛtī form. We may believe or not believe. Krishna is all present everywhere. But when he comes in such a beautiful form as to awaken our forgetfulness of him, that yes, Krishna is Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigrahanadi Radhir Govinda Sarva Karna Karnam. He's the cause of all causes. He's in the spiritual kingdom, surrounded by unlimited goddesses of fortune, Sarabi cows, and all his associates. Like in Braj, everyone lived a simple lifestyle. Krishna is very happy with Jamuna, the fruits and flowers, the cows and calves, the cowherd boys, the gopis, and all the loving exchanges that are taking place. And so Krishna replicated, brought the spiritual world, Vrindavan. He came, he exhibited his powers, showed his godly powers. And even though such things are recorded in the history of Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, he appeared to perform his activities, but it's not that we just blindly accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the scripture is described, Krishna Varnam Tasha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Jagnai Sankirtan Praya Yajanti Hi Sumedasaha. Describes that he is golden colored and that his activities, his weapons are his devotees and associates, and they're all chanting the holy name of the Lord. So mantra is to free the mind and to reawaken that which has been forgotten. And if we chant Krishna's name, although we may not be like Haridas Thakur chanting 300,000 names of the Lord, Prabhupada very mercifully has empowered that you just sincerely chant at least your 16 rounds. You can chant more, not that it's limited to that. And you engage yourself in devotional service, because even that when those great philosophers and studies, they think that actually the God is impersonal, and by merging into the impersonal Brahman, you've achieved perfection. But without devotional service, without taking shelter of devotional service, performing, and what is devotional service? Dressing the deities, chanting the holy name, following the basic rules and regulations which govern spiritual life, preparing prasad, offering prasad, preaching Krishna consciousness, book distribution, giving prasad to all the conditioned souls. What do we do in the temples, isn't it? We chant, we dance, we distribute books, we give prasadam, and have beautiful festivals where people are attracted to see, wow, this is life, this is family, there's something more than just working hard, getting old, withering away and dying. And that's the material world. It's all about money, making money, economic and sense gratification. So we should utilize our time and our energy and our strength for spreading Krishna consciousness. If we're fortunate enough to have come in contact with Krishna by the mercy of his representative Śrīla Prabhupāda, then we should take full advantage of this. We should make more time for hearing and reading and chanting, and be more enthusiastic for participating and spreading this Krishna consciousness movement. Prabhupada was traveling such an advanced stage, and he was also sending his devotees too. You go here, you go there. And devotees were taking on the responsibility. They were enthusiastic. Prabhupada, it was just everything for them. Still is. And Prabhupada is who? He's a servitor God. He's serving Krishna purely. He's representing Krishna. And he's giving us the truth in such a wonderful way as to invoke our Krishna consciousness. So I'll always stay in the association of devotees, asat sanga tyag avaishnavachar. By avoiding the association of non-devotees, one won't be implicated. Because what non-devotees, all they do is talk politics and all the other nonsense of material life. They're always looking for newer and fresher ways to become happy in this world. But ultimately, life is temporary, but we, the soul, are eternal. So we should engage this temporary body in the eternal activities of Krishna consciousness. Sit in the kirtan and do something where Krishna will recognize. Krishna wants us to come back home, back to the spiritual world. And Śrīla Prabhupāda was seen with tears in his eyes, Harinama, 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 eva kevalam kalu nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatiranyata. He was seeing the miserable condition of Kali Yuga. And he was seeing that only by Krishna's the chanting of the holy name that one can have an opportunity to get free from the vicious cycle of repeated birth and death. And there's great suffering. When one is not suffering immediately, he forgets all about the suffering. But if you have some kind of ailment, I think one of the pujaris has like a corn on his foot, he can't walk and he's constantly, you're always in anxiety, I got to take care of this. Your whole focus is there where the pain is. And if one is thinking, today I feel good, and then we start thinking, how can I be the enjoyer? But there's suffering, old age, disease, and death. This is suffering because of the bodily conception. But we never get old, we never get diseased, and we never die. And what are we? We're the consciousness that's pervading throughout this whole body. If you pinch any part of your body, you feel some pain, you feel some sensation. And that's the power of a tiny, tiny spirit soul, which is immeasurable. Even with the most powerful microscopes, they cannot detect the tiny little anti-material spiritual particle, which is a spirit soul, which is more powerful than the sun. So living entities, we're part of Krishna and we belong in the spiritual world. But becoming Krishna conscious is not a cheap thing, it's not an easy thing. So we need to keep our focus and our determination to stay in Krishna consciousness and to learn how to love all the devotees and love every living entity as part of Krishna. And this way develop ourselves in Krishna consciousness and have an opportunity to go back home, back to the spiritual kingdom. with humility. So, thank you very much. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. We have a few minutes for questions, answers, or if anybody wants to say a few things. Yes, Sri Ram Pandit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thanks for the class. Prabhu, this question is almost, I'm repeating, I asked this to Sankarshan Prabhu also. Because this question of free will and independence, why I'm telling this is because you mentioned that one should not be a mother, father, or the king if they cannot deliver their subjects from the cycle of birth and death. But again, free will and independence is, as you mentioned, you don't have any control on anyone. So let's say our kids, we try to make them Krishna conscious, we try our best, but still they have their own free will and independence. So we have given them birth, but then they may not become Krishna conscious. But yes. I have done my part, but then how the whole cycle affects?
Well, this is from Chanakya Pandit's quotation. That's just to give a clear understanding that it's the responsibility of the parent to give the best training and the best effort to help his dependent understand how to get free from the cycle of birth and death by taking up devotional service. Now, it may or may not happen. Like I said, even Advaitacharya, 3 of his children were totally into it, and others had some other ideas. And I'm sure even Śrīla Prabhupāda gives comments that even my own family, they didn't fully accept, but Krishna sent me even a bigger family. So it's just emphasizing the importance of a teacher must speak according to Shastra, according to the absolute truth. A parent should make every endeavor to help the child to become free from the cycle of birth and death by giving them as much as you can of Krishna consciousness. As you said, everyone's independent and everyone will choose their way ultimately. But if one has good association and a good upbringing, many times they end up in the right place. And they remember, even though they may deviate for some time, just like a Jamil, he had a good training by his father, and he had Shastra, but he got bewildered by the man and woman prostitute, whatever, and he got bewildered for pretty much his whole life. But then at the end, Krishna made again arrangement where he could remember Narayan, and he could see the Yamadutas and Vishnu Dutas, and he came to his senses, and he performed the final yagyas and austerities to achieve perfection of life. So we cannot predict, but if you give good training and you give your full endeavor, then you're doing your duty. Any other question?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Very nice class. One point I appreciated very much is that we have a false ego. I had never understood actually. False ego is not only a wrong conception in our consciousness. It's a body. It's an entity that we have. Just like we have a mind, we have an intelligence, and we have a false ego. Yes. And so the mind we can purify by becoming Krishna conscious and intelligence also. But the false ego, actually, we must get rid of it, something like that, no?
Yeah, false ego is just a, life after life by the mind intelligence. We've created our identity, which is artificial covering of the spirit soul. And that false ego, we're acting out, through the mind, the senses, and this false identity is ultimately keeping us imprisoned in this life. So the process of chanting Krishna's name will dissolve the false ego. It's a very powerful medicine. So thank you very much. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.